from the 2025 Groundbreakers halftime show. I'm your host, Todd Lewis, Senior Vice President, Prologis Ventures. I'm joined by my dear friend, partner in crime, and as I like to call him, my sidekick.
First-time sidekick, but long-time guest of Prologis Groundbreakers, now a Prologis employee. I'm Charlie Walker from the Prologis Ventures team as well, VP. Todd, we got a packed agenda today. You got a public service announcement first.
This is the important announcement. First of all, thank you for joining part one of Groundbreakers. We have an action-packed day. You're going to have to stick around for us for part two, but they've given me a cue card that I must read from to make sure that you all stick along. Part one has come to a close. For those of you joining online from around the globe, it's time to swap over. LinkedIn Live will give you all the instructions you need. It's in your email. It's in our hub page. Anywhere you need to find it, there is a link to switch over to part two. Please do so now.
But onto the agenda. I think you and I are going to recap what we've heard this morning, a couple of key talking points. And then we've got, I think we started with 5 guests, but now we've got 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9 guests
10,
joining
12.
us. Yeah,
it could be more. No one is safe in the audience
we basically
today.
walk around scooping people up saying, come join us for the halftime show. But with that, Todd, what are your key takeaways from this morning?
Okay, so I've got one. It's huge. I thought the sessions this morning were fantastic. We are surrounded by the leading innovators around the globe. A huge moment for me when Mr. Secretary was talking about this transition from thinking around drill, baby, drill into build, baby, build. This moment of powering the AI economy as we know it, it's a fleeting moment. It was yesterday that this infrastructure was required. But what it's going to take to bring that to reality is a true massive collaboration across private sector and public policymakers. And when you see everyone out here today, it's exciting. The room is hopping.
The room's buzzing. There's a real can-do attitude of the people we've managed to bring together for this. I think if you were going to have an event like this, thinking about these kind of things in the future, this is the place to be for it. But in addition to what Hamid was talking about, and what you were talking about, Hamid said, the rebranding of the energy from sort of transition to addition, I think is a key point I hadn't really thought about. I've always been on the outside thinking we need to transition to sustainable energy, but you know what? The needs are so big that it is an addition. And hopefully what that enables in terms of AI, hopefully that leads us to a more sustainable future anyway. So hopefully we're on a path. Exactly.
It has to.
But also we need to power our warehouses and in terms of automation, which is a great plug to our first guest. Eva, if I can invite you over, please. On camera here.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Eva, thanks so much for joining us. You are the Chief Commercial Officer of Gideon Robotics, which is a portfolio company of Prologis Ventures, correct?
Yes.
And you recently transitioned into the world of robotics after a career in finance, right?
Correct.
And so you're at the forefront of sort of selling robotics into Fortune 500 companies. How is that going? How is it being received?
Yeah, our clients are extremely excited. The labor shortages are very real, and a key part of planning the future is planning that story. And so and at the same time, they look at the likes of Amazon and Walmart who invested so much in the space. So
they've got a 15-year head start, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right. So they're leaning in and piloting and moving into commercial deployments and realizing that this is the future.
That's awesome. And then what about what you've heard this morning? What's inspired you about the future of the supply chain?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a Mary Shelley quote that was amazing, which was, innovation doesn't come out of a void. It comes out of chaos. And I think so many people feel that the world today is chaotic, and so that was really inspiring.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Back to Todd.
Thank you.
John, please join me. So John, you're the president of networks at Trellis Group. You've built a career at bringing people together to solve and create a more sustainable world. Also, fun fact, you too are a supply chain nerd like myself. I hope you don't mind if I go that far. What was your key takeaway from today?
Well, a couple of things. One thing is that at Trellis Group, we put on big events, and all morning you covered all the topics that we have at our events around energy, food systems, regenerative agriculture, AI, so that was really great.
Any key takeaways from today's panelists that you've heard that kind of helped bolster what you're doing today?
I think the energy conversation where we have to be additive, I think that's great. I think the regen ag is really big. But frankly, from the geek part of me, it was the flex conversation around that extensible warehousing. That was really cool.
Okay, tell me what stood out to you with Flex, because I'm obviously a huge fan as a portfolio company of Prologis Ventures. We love them. Tell me what stood out for you.
I spent 20 years automating warehouses before I got into sustainability. And this has been a challenge that no one really was able to knock. You know, I mean, when I was automating warehouses, we did the original web van warehouses.
That's
Our
incredible.
system was for that. They were trying to figure this out. And so it seems like Flex has figured out how to do this.
Okay, for everyone that's out there listening and dialed in today, how do you connect the dots between automation and sustainability? Because it's no trivial feat, but they go hand in hand.
They do, because it's sort of like quality too, right? I mean, you're looking for efficiency, you're looking for saving it, and
right.
that's how you should approach sustainability. It's got to be a business case that you're making for whatever you're going to do to make your company more sustainable.
I love that, John. Thank you so much for joining us here in LA today. Really appreciate the time. Thank you so much. We're going to send it over to Charlie. Charlie, come on
back.
in.
Thanks.
We're back, and I've got Darren from Terminal Industries, CEO of Terminal Industries. I won't tell you about the business. I'll let you do that in a second, but I want to preempt and say, you know, we spoke to Eva a second ago, and Eva works for a robotics company, which I think people understand and can relate to in terms of the warehouse. They can visualize it. But actually, there's so many companies behind the scenes that we don't think about that are doing amazing things with machine learning, including Terminal Industries, which is optimizing yard efficiency. Can you contextualize for us what that means?
Certainly. It's important to understand the backdrop. First, there's 50 billion a day of goods traveling through the warehouse system.
Wow.
About a third of that runs through the yard, and about only a quarter of that has tech in it. So most of it is greenfield,
Right.
and handled manually with clipboards and Excel sheets.
It's essentially a manual car park at the moment.
Yes, and it's been an afterthought because a lot of the technology and ROI has been in the warehouse and on the road. And since the pandemic, it's really put a spotlight on the fact that the yard is now a bottleneck for smooth flow of transport and digital transformation, so that there's a seamless integration between the transport and the warehouse, and we add
and
value,
vice versa, right?
and we add value in the warehouse. And so bringing AI, computer vision, kind of bringing it over the top in an older industry with dated point solutions allows us to come in and provide a solution that has real ROI and real efficiency and optimization, and just makes the whole, that 50 billion a day move a lot smoother.
You're leveraging AI to do that, which gets a bad rep as being really energy intensive, but actually a more efficient yard, I'm guessing, means less idling time for trucks and whatnot. And is there a net saving in energy, do you reckon?
Absolutely. So we just ran a pilot, and we moved an hour 20 check-in to less than 34 seconds. And moved from an hour 20 to the line to the dock to 8 minutes.
And that's an hour and a half of less fuel burning, basically.
Yeah, and that's just one site that
one would hope that's more efficient than what the AI consumes to achieve that.
Correct.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Darren. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Back to you, Todd.
Thanks, Charlie. I am joined here, Deborah. You're the Senior Director of Global Real Estate at PepsiCo. And I'm careful to say PepsiCo because knee-jerk reaction is always to just short it to Pepsi, but you're so much more than that. Maybe just quickly, for everyone that's watching out there online, just a glimpse into how big and broad your world is.
So we have thousands of brands, and so we actually have Frito-Lay as well as Quaker. In the UK, it's Walkers, so we're around the world as well, and we do a lot of work with just different types of things, regenerative farming, water, all the things. All the topics were just resonated from home.
I love that. I love that. All right, so you're coming up on 20 years at PepsiCo.
I am.
You've been through so much transformation and been really at the ground floor, watching it evolve and actually spurring it for your company. Talk to me a bit about what you've seen today that complements all of those efforts that you've been working on over the years.
Well, interestingly, I thought the common theme between all of the discussions was always. It's always on, always in your distribution, always on the shelves. And so we want to be always everywhere with our products. And then it also resonated in being close to your customers, but also being close to your farmers. How do you make certain that you're actually thinking about, when we have Lay's potato chips, we actually have potatoes in our bags. And it was interesting when someone said, well, some people don't realize that in order to grow food, you need water. We're like, and our food is actually from a farm. So tortilla chips come from corn, so it actually comes from the farmers as well. So I thought it was very interesting how that the theme was always.
I love that. It's part of my Todd's Pun Challenge. The food panel in particular was going to be a hotbed for us, just eating out of the palms of those panelists.
And really, drinking from a fire hose.
Drinking from a fire hose. It's leaving me hungry for more. I could go on and on. I won't. I could. I won't. Okay, talk to me about any key takeaways today, anything that surprised you.
not necessarily surprising. I think what it really just really accelerated that the importance of listening to your customers, understanding what their needs are, and being able to react and innovate quickly is the most important topic for today.
What's fascinating about what you said earlier was the proximity dilemma. And I say dilemma, but really what I'm talking about is an opportunity to get closer to where production is, where consumers are. It's kind of been our mantra for so long, but really, first of all, I just want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being such a great partner. With that, we're going to send it right over to Charlie. Keep us going along.
All right.
Charlie.
Butting back in over here. This time I'm joined by Travis, co-founder of Passive Logic, which is really the forefront of what it means to be a smart building, right? And I think Hamid referenced that this morning, how we're no longer building buildings that are just four walls and a roof. These are becoming like smart thinking machines, and it's your software that's doing that, right? And he also noted how we've kept up with growing energy demand through the efficiencies we're able to drive through things like AI. I wanted to ask at the sort of the micro level, what can software like Passive Logic do to sort of drive efficiencies in the building at the building level?
Sure. Passive Logic is actually a hardware and software platform, and we think about buildings as not only being sort of the places where we consume energy, but actually sort of the nexus and the hub of where we need to understand our whole energy ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
We need to understand the economy of energy and how we use it and how we deploy it for the various pieces of the economy that take place, which substantially 87% of the economy takes place in buildings, right? In and around buildings. So, and buildings currently consume 40% of the world's energy resources.
Wow.
So addressing that is a really big opportunity that we are excited to partner with Prologis in terms of being able to think about more intelligently making smart choices and basing those on data and on the realism of like, how do we understand and model our buildings appropriately and then be able to address that building's performance through the future. So if we're looking at performance as the theme of today's conference.
And in the areas of building performance, where do you typically find your clients, the lowest lift is in terms of where they can drive that additional performance?
Yeah, I mean, it really varies a lot because that's the thing that is the hallmark of the real estate world is that every building is unique, every use case is unique, every
climate is unique where it is. There's so many factors playing into it, absolutely.
And so really we look at this problem as a modeling problem. You may have heard of model predictive control.
I have, yes.
This is a notion of being able to model the system based on physics, a universal language that all machines can understand. Right? Simulate that building's performance into the future and then choose the optimal control path.
That's awesome. Travis, thank you so much. Todd, you're back on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. Kinta, thank you so much for being here. Kinta, you're the Vice President of Supply Chain Operations for Glacier.
Yes.
What's today been like for you?
Today has been absolutely amazing. The one thing that I've been trying to spot to see, are there any other beauty brands here? Not sure if they are, but I will happily represent the world of beauty on today.
They're out there, and I could usually tell because they all look stunning, right? Kinta, we cheated. We spent some time together last night.
We did, my friend. We did.
And it was such a great conversation because it was all focused around what does the future of supply chain look like?
Yes.
Now, we heard from some wonderful panelists today. We talked about what's going to power AI in the future.
Yes.
How are you leaning in? I mean, you have such a storied career in supply chain.
Yes.
Tell me about what you're seeing and how you're using it today to power your operations.
Absolutely. Well, obviously AI, right? Everyone's talking about it. The panelists this morning were talking about it. And just thinking about it from a planning perspective, right? So it's how can we not just execute, but how can we execute well? And using these types of tools and technologies is the key.
Okay. There's a human element to AI.
Yes.
And this, I get a little tickled.
Yes.
This is part of the conversation from last night. How are you integrating all of this wonderful new technology that's transforming how we do business with the people that are actually doing the work?
Absolutely. Well, like we talked about last night, when you think about supply chain as people, processes, and systems, but the magic of all of that is the people. And there is this misconception that AI is going to somehow replace. Absolutely not. It's going to enhance, right? It takes away some of the mundane tasks that some of our team members may be, doing in their day-to-day work, and it actually maximizes their ability to be able to support the success of the brand or the firm.
I love that. Okay. We actually have an action-packed agenda for this afternoon.
We do.
What are you most excited about to see this afternoon?
I am so excited about the segment on the Olympics.
Same.
The Olympics is going to be here in LA in 2028. And again, just kind of tying it back into the people, I'm so excited to hear how they're going to actually make sure that they're embedded within the communities, because that's going to be the magic of it, right?
It is magic.
Yes.
And speaking of magic,
Yes.
we're going to send it right back to my partner, Charlie.
Yes.
We've
so
really
much.
drawn the short straw in terms of standing in the sun versus the shade for this. But my next guest is Annalise. She's the CEO of Tangible. Tangible is a software platform that manages sustainability and the sustainability attributes of building and its construction, specifically around embodied carbon, right? And I think, it's easy for our audience to sort of think about energy and sustainability when it comes to the energy of a building or fuel and burning fuel, etc. But embodied carbon, can you give a quick explanation of that for us?
Absolutely. So embodied carbon is the carbon associated with the production, manufacturing, resource extraction, and transportation of building materials. So there's a lot that happens before a building is even built, and all of that requires a lot of resource-intensive nature, and we help people actually understand the impact of that, and also just build better, right?
Yeah.
Think about what's going into your building, design better buildings, and make changes from there.
And through what you do with that, are you quite exposed to what's going on in terms of the materials and future materials, et cetera, that will help us build better buildings? What can you tell us about that space?
Yeah, it's been a super innovative space for the last 5 to 10 years. We're seeing a ton of innovation around concrete in particular. It's the highest volume material that we use by far, and so helping us figure out a way to use better concrete, use less concrete, build concrete in a different way is hugely, hugely important for the industry.
Yeah, and a huge shout out to our portfolio company, Terrace CO2, which works in that space, because as you can imagine, Prologis pours a ton of concrete. Are there any key takeaways from this morning's content that sort of plays on top of your mind?
What I loved about the content so far is that it's all about building, right? It's all about what can we actually do to solve these hard problems.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to be cynical because there's a lot of big challenges that we're facing right now, climate being one of them. But what's so exciting is that there are so many smart, creative people working on these challenges together, and bringing them all into a room is a really unique experience.
Yeah, and full disclosure at the beginning of this broadcast when I said, bringing these people together, this is the crowd that can do it. That was a takeaway I took away from you when we were speaking before this. So thank you. Back to Todd.
Thanks.
And I'm joined here by a man who needs absolutely no introduction, but I'm actually going to take the time to introduce you. Ninad, you're the CEO of Fulfillment IQ. You've been with us for many a groundbreaker. This isn't your first rodeo.
Nope. This is number 3.
This is number 3. All right. How have you seen the event evolve? What gets you excited about what you've seen today?
I'll speak about today. Today's been amazing. One of the moment of realization for me was AI, energy, real estate, supply chain, the convergence that comes together. The fact that about 3% of world's GDP moves through Prologis warehouses, right? To just understand that what it can actually do in the age of AI now, specifically because there was a lot of energy conversation, you kind of see that relationship into, okay, pre-AI boom, we had about 1% of electricity utilized by data centers. We are looking at 2035 at about 10%. We are already sitting at 4%. To be able to increase the amount of energy utilization, to be able to produce that much energy, what supply chain is going to have to do within that part, as well as the impact of AI both inside and outside, because the outside part is how the warehouses turn into the substations.
Okay, I want to unpack that because your vantage point is so incredibly unique in that you are partnered with some of the industry leaders that are joined with us today. And how they're leaning into all this new advanced technology to modernize the inside the four walls as we know it today, and potentially digitize and simulate what the future of tomorrow could look like.
That's correct.
Tell me how you're seeing the leaders that are here take advantage of all this.
I think it's been also a nice journey over the last couple of years. You have seen a lot of confusion. So you asked me, how have we seen it evolve over the last 3 years? Really critical was 3 years ago, people were like, cool story. Last year was like, what am I supposed to do with my business? This year, the strategy is coming together, where the enterprise leaders, or be it the mid-market leaders, both are now with a set strategy for how they are going to execute be it a software provider, be it a warehouse operator, everyone's bringing those things into play.
And I love it. I love your perspective. I always love being joined by you. Thank you so much for being here.
Same here, brother.
And we'll toss it back to Charlie for our last interview.
My final, last but not least guest is Layla from Wise Systems. It's a company I've known for many, many years, actually. You're one of the co-founders of Wise Systems, correct? And you guys are driving radical efficiency when it comes to route optimization and routing systems, right? Who are your customers, and how much optimization is there to eke out of route optimization? Is my Google Maps useless compared to what you guys do?
So ultimately, we're at this conference, right? And this conference, the theme of the conference is the performance era, but we're talking a lot about AI.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to AI and performance, you can really increase your performance with AI in one of two ways: automation or optimization. Both require good baseline sets of data. So our business, Wise Systems, we do route optimization for some of the biggest beverage fleets, courier fleets, people you've heard of, right? And so if you think about you as a distributor, you might have 100 trucks in Los Angeles, make thousands of deliveries a week, and maybe you have thousands of trucks across America. When your trucks are showing up places, AI can help you both automate and optimize by learning things that you otherwise wouldn't have known. What's the service time? Where do they actually park, right? In front of the 7-Eleven, do they have to cover the whole entire entrance if they get there past 8 a.m.? What are the customer expectations? And all of these factors have a radical impact on your cost in mass, right? So if you're using the wrong service times, you're underestimating the service times, underestimating the travel times, taking them there at the wrong time, suddenly something which ultimately has razor thin margins, that is last mile distribution, becomes more expensive, and the inverse is also true, right?
That's right.
And you have to understand too, as the market changes, distribution costs kind of stay the same. So you always need to be optimizing. Does the market want better customer service, or does the market want cheaper distribution? And so AI and ultimately the information we're able to pull from each of these deliveries on a single basis and aggregate into a mass, into a delivery, into a route that makes sense, has a massive impact. I mean, up to 20% extra.
I'm guessing to achieve something similar to that previously, it would have been you would have been asking drivers to input all this data, which just wouldn't have been realistic, right?
It's not realistic, and it rarely happens because, maybe you'll get 10% of the data, and that might be a driver's preference, not what's best.
And did you guys start this business sort of before the AI boom?
We totally started this business. We've been here for 10 years.
And so you must have been doing really well going, how do we get this data? And then this came along and you're like, wow, this is the ticket to our dreams.
Not only that, we actually started the business because of the cloud boom, the iPhone boom. Suddenly we had information on where you're going, how long you're staying places, and we kind of used our own AI back then. Now with LLMs and generative AI, it's compounded multi-fold. But honestly, anybody on antiquated systems is bleeding cash.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. And any key takeaways from this morning's content?
Performance.
The performance era.
The performance is precision, and precision comes through really well-run AI.
Layla, thank you so much.
Yeah.
It's back to Todd as we begin to wrap up the show. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, Layla. Charlie, join me.
I will.
And that about does it for our halftime show. First and foremost, we want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you for joining Charlie and I as we held hostage all of our wonderful guests here.
Yeah,
Charlie, that was fantastic.
In the heat. I'm so envious you had the shade over here. Every time I go to go there, I'm like, I'm so sorry, you're going to have to stand. It's going to be hot. Give us 2 minutes.
It's that sidekick status.
Yeah.
Next year, it'll be totally different. I promise.
Yeah, we'll trade next year.
Well, look, first, again, thank you so much for joining us. I do want to end with a little bit of housekeeping, which is first and foremost, do not forget that you can submit your questions live via Cvent as well as LinkedIn Live. You can get those answered during our Q&A session. We have an amazing, if you thought the first half of Groundbreakers was great, wait till you see what the second half has in store. Charlie, hit them.
We've got people from the Port of LA, we've got MIT, we've got the Department of Transport and Research, we've got Elroy Air, which is an autonomous vertical takeoff and landing plane. Drone, yeah.
Jetson's Light.
Jetson's Light, that's a good way to put it.
I love that.
And of course, we've got Trevor Nelson. Trevor Noah.
You better nail that.
Trevor Nelson is a British DJ, you wouldn't know, but yeah.
You're absolutely right. I do not know that. You're spot on. I don't know Trevor Nelson, but I am going to look him up. And I know you're here really for Trevor, so I'm excited to have the opportunity to make that introduction later, hopefully.
Big time.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping to meet him. And little side story. We're talking about this on Friday. Zoom calls, getting ready for this conference. I live in New York. I stepped out of my house on Friday lunchtime. Trevor Noah was talking to my neighbor by huge coincidence. It was absolutely wild.
He's been stalking you.
I know.
This is 100%.
He clearly wants to meet me. It's that way around.
Again, we just want to take a quick moment and say thank you so much for tuning in.
One final plug.
Hit it.
Remember, move over to Stream 2 if you can. It's on your LinkedIn, it's on our LinkedIn, it's in your emails, it's in the chat to this stream. Remember to do it. Oh, we're being called in.
We're being called in. And with that wraps our halftime show.
Yep.
From Charlie and I, thank you so much. Charlie, it's been an absolute honor to share the mic, my friend.
It's been wonderful to be a sidekick, and I hope to see you again next year.
Next year it is.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Cheers.